Hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to discuss a little bit more about the different features of a map, including different types of maps. The three big things that we're going to look at in today's lesson, we're going to look a little bit at more about map scale first, because that can be a little bit tricky to think about. Then we're going to look at a couple different types of maps. And then finally, we'll talk about map projections. The little light bulb down there reminds us that reading a map can seem confusing, but once we break it down, it makes a lot more sense. So depending on the type of map that you're looking at, you may notice that the map scale or the distance and detail that it shows changes. For example, if you wanted to look at a map of Missouri, it would probably have a few of the major roads like I-70 or maybe Highway 94. Might have some of the major cities, so it would probably show Jefferson City, St. Louis, Kansas City, and then it may show some of the physical landmarks like the Missouri River, things like that, but you wouldn't see too much detail. For example, most maps wouldn't show smaller cities like St. Peter's on them. However, if you looked at a map of just St. Louis, you would probably see much more detail, like road names and businesses. Think of that as like zooming in on Google Maps or Apple Maps and being able to see all of the different road names when you're getting directions somewhere. This difference is due to the map scale, or how much distance on Earth is shown on the map. So there are two different types of scaled maps, like two different categories: large scale and small scale. Now these can be really confusing because they're opposite what you think. A large scale map covers a small area, but it shows a lot of details in it. And then a small scale map covers a large area, but includes few details. That's because the amount of the distance that the scale covers is large to show a lot of details, but it's small to show just a few details. Next, we're going to look at some of the most common types of maps. So first, a cartographer is someone whose job it is to make maps. The two main types of maps that we're going to look at are political and physical maps. This first one, political maps, show features that humans have created, like cities, states, and countries. The features are labeled and lines are used to show boundaries, like those between countries or states or provinces or things like that. It's really easy to think of this as like political parties, and that is not what we're thinking about. Think political map as in what have humans created? What did humans name? The next type of map is a physical map, and these show the natural features of physical geography. So physical maps are going to include things like landforms, like mountains, plains, valleys, deserts, oceans, like rivers, bodies of water. And then it also includes a couple of things that we don't look at too frequently, but that are important to note, and those are elevation and relief. Elevation is the height of a physical feature above sea level. So if you look at the map on your screen there, it shows different colors, and that's going to show how high above sea level each of those things are. So for example, you would see a mountain, it's obviously going to have a much higher elevation than a beach. And so those will be shown in different colors. And then the other piece there is the relief, which is the change in elevation from one place to another. So this would be like if you were going up or down a mountain, you would have a pretty big relief. You'd have a big elevation change. So something that we think about a lot is how people are able to show a 3D globe as a flat map. This is something that can be really tricky for cartographers to do, because whenever you take a 3D shape and you flatten it out, the 2D map can distort shapes, areas, distances, and directions that you would find in the real world. To reduce this distortion or that change, cartographers use projections, or ways of showing Earth's curved surface on a flat map. There are 5 main types of projections, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. I do not expect you guys to remember what all 5 of the projections are. To be honest, I couldn't tell you all 5 of the projections without reading in the book for it. But just know that that's why maps can look different. So for example, the one on your screen looks one way, and it has kind of those rounded corners on it to show that curved surface on a flat map. But other maps are going to look different based on which projection the cartographer chose to use. So the last important thing to know about maps is that there are often maps made about different themes or topics. So for example, the map on your screen is a map that may show the outcome of a vote in an election. So this is a type of map that shows the states, the United States and the 50 states, and if they voted Republican or Democrat in an election. This is a thematic map because it's a map about a specific topic. Thematic maps can also show a variety of geographic information. So they might show economic activity. So you might see something that shows bigger, like cities or places that sell a lot of things or that produce a lot of things. You might see a map with natural resources. So things like forests might be colored green, where maybe a mine would be colored a different color. Or you might see something that shows population density, which is how many people live in a certain area. So bigger cities would be a darker color, and areas that are like farmland or things would be a much lighter color. So to wrap up today's lesson, I want you guys to remember from the section that physical maps show natural features. Think things like mountains, rivers, lakes, stuff like that. Political maps show man-made features. So this is like maps of the United States or maps of the country with lines to show boundaries that humans have created. And then finally, cartographers are people whose job it is to create maps. Go ahead and check it in Canvas to see what your next job is, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.